Now, again, maybe some of you are not familiar with this law, but it is a foundational concept. It is to economics what, say, the concept of gravity is to physics. It's a concept that ties many branches of economics and finance together. The great classical economists, Smith and Ricardo and so on, understood that economic activity takes place through the interaction of three factors: labor, there's someone to work; capital, there's investment in computers and equipment to do things; and also critically land, a place in which all of this economic activity takes place. And it was the interaction of these factors that enabled people to produce goods and services that could then be exchanged in a marketplace. Now, labor earns wages. You're paid at the end of the month or the end of the week or whenever it is. Capital earns what the classical economists called interest, or what we might call profit. And land earns rent. You always have to pay rent to the owner of the land to get permission to use that piece of land to do the work that you want to do. Now, in an economy, capital and labor are mobile, and the competitive marketplace sets the earnings of capital and labor. The surplus of all economic activity goes to paying the rent. Now, it's not just some random leftover that the rent represents. It represents the locational value of that site. Now, if you think about it this way, a plot on the corner of Oxford Street and Regent Street would generate a much higher surplus, and therefore you would be required to pay a much higher rent than an identical site on the outskirts of Inverness, not to denigrate the fair city of Inverness, but you would pay a much lower rent. Even though you might be selling the same product for the same price, you might be employing people who earn the same wages, and you might be doing so through a company that makes pretty much the same profits from the transaction, of course, excluding the amount of rent that they have to pay. Well, so how does this locational value, and I'll show you where I'm going with this,